Hi, I'm Mark Ellison from 5 Daily Trivia Questions, and I've got some wickedly bad news for you. Next week is Villains Week, where we'll be celebrating the most memorable antagonists from pop culture. Every day we'll focus on a different set of iconic villains, from James Bond's greatest foes to Star Wars' Dark Side, Disney's animated antagonists, Batman's rogues gallery, and horror's most terrifying monsters. I've got a villain question for you right now. Which James Bond villain had steel teeth and appeared in 2 films, The Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker? Was it Odd Job, Jaws, or Blofeld? If you knew it was Jaws, then you're going to love what we have in store. And if you didn't know, well, there's no better time to learn about these unforgettable characters. Join us for Villains Week on 5 Daily Trivia Questions. Subscribe for free right now wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, sometimes it's good to be bad.
Calaroga Shark Media.
From Washington, D.C., where at least the stock market can't crash today. But only because it's a Sunday, this is Ballot.
That's right, and we've all lived long enough that we're siding with Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz! Even Ted Cruz doesn't like Ted Cruz? Hi, I'm Patrick Gutfield, and I love working 7 days a week so I can afford eggs. Ted Cruz is now warning everyone about Trump's trade war. Can you believe it? Ted Cruz, the same guy who once called himself Trump's strongest supporter in the Senate, is now saying this could be the biggest tax hike in a long, long time. You know things are getting serious when Ted Cruz starts sounding the alarm. This is a man who would normally defend Trump if he declared the moon was made of cheese. But now he's on his podcast saying these tariffs could hurt jobs and hurt America. Coming from Cruz, that's basically the economic equivalent of running down the street screaming that the sky is falling. Cruz said he talked to one of the big 3 automakers who told him these tariffs could raise car prices by $4,500 starting as early as June. $4,500. That's not a price increase. That's a down payment on another car. And here's the kicker. Cruz says foreign car companies might actually benefit more than American ones. Because if you ship a completed car here, you pay 1 tariff. But if you're making cars in America with imported parts, you're getting hit with tariffs on every single part. That's like paying a cover charge at a restaurant and then also paying an entrance fee for each ingredient in your meal. Cruz even went full doomsday prophet, saying if we go into a bad recession, the 2026 midterms would be a bloodbath for Republicans. Although I'm not sure if he meant that as a warning or if he was pitching a new Netflix political thriller. Barack Obama is deeply concerned about the Trump administration's actions. That's like your ex texting you that they're a little worried about your choices lately. You know something serious is happening when Obama breaks his presidential retirement code of silence. Obama spoke at Hamilton College, which is fitting because he delivered more shots than the musical. He criticized Trump's policies without ever actually saying his name. That's classic Obama, surgical precision in his attacks while maintaining plausible deniability. I never said Trump. Could have been talking about anyone who happens to be a president right now. Obama's worried about the government threatening universities if they don't hand over students exercising free speech. I mean, what's next? Are we going to start monitoring what people check out at libraries? Sir, I'm going to need to see some ID for that copy of 1984. It seems you've been using it as an instruction manual. And get this, the White House barred the Associated Press from coverage because they won't call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. That's like me refusing to talk to my neighbor because he won't refer to my apartment as the Palace of Patrick. Obama even called out Republicans for their sequence, saying, "Imagine if I had pulled Fox News' credentials from the White House press corps." He's right. If Obama had done that, Sean Hannity would have spontaneously combusted on live television. The best part was when Obama said, "I know it's a little crazy right now, but we're going to be okay." That's such a dad thing to say. It's like when your father tries to comfort you after the car breaks down in the middle of nowhere. This is fine. We're only 23 miles from civilization with no cell service and 1 granola bar between us. We're going to be okay. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris also spoke out, saying there's a sense of fear taking hold nationwide. She's kept a low profile since November, probably just chilling and thinking, Thank goodness I don't have to deal with any of this. But she did say, courage is contagious, which is true, unlike the Gulf of America, which I'm pretty sure isn't catching on anytime soon.
Want this podcast without interruptions? Caliroga Plus delivers this show and over 20 premium shows completely ad-free, right to your favorite podcast player. We've just added exciting new series including Signal Lost. What happens when the most sensitive military intelligence in the world ends up on the wrong phone? White Smoke, taking you behind the scenes of all the interesting things that happen at the Vatican. And Pager Protocol, a thriller about getting exploding pagers into the hands of the bad guys. Plus, receive all your existing favorites like Palace Intrigue about the royal family, daily comedy news, 5 daily trivia questions, and 5 good news stories. Apple Podcast users, simply tap the banner in your Apple Podcasts app that says, Uninterrupted Listening, Spotify and other players. Visit caliroga.com/plus. If you missed all that, check the links in the show notes. It's just $4.99 a month for no ads. Listen on any device, on any player you love, completely hassle-free.
Tired of doom scrolling? Want news that won't make you want to live in a bunker? Check out 5 Good News Stories, where they find the silver lining in a world that's usually lined with something much less pleasant. The gang at 5 Good News Stories dig through the headlines to find 5 stories that prove humanity hasn't completely lost its mind. It's pretty much the opposite of this show. From scientific breakthroughs nobody's talking about to random acts of kindness that restore your faith in humanity, all delivered with the cutting wit you deserve. 5 Good News Stories, because sometimes the news doesn't have to suck. Subscribe to 5 Good News Stories wherever you get your podcasts. Breaking news from across the pond, King Charles just played a carrot. Not with a carrot, he played an actual carrot. That's right, His Royal Highness performed Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on a carrot recorder at a musical reception. And you thought Prince Harry was the wild one in the family. This vegetable virtuoso performance happened at an event celebrating community music groups across the United Kingdom. Among the performers was the London Vegetable Orchestra. And no, I didn't just make that up. These people turn produce into instruments. Apparently, the royal PR team is just a bunch of dads with crowns. 350 musical groups showed up to this thing. Can you imagine? 349 legitimate musical organizations? And then some guy with a hollowed-out zucchini. Yes, hello, I'm the first chair rutabaga in the London Vegetable Orchestra. Where shall I put my turnip trumpet? After his carrot performance, the king reportedly said he hopes they eat the carrots because he wouldn't want any food to go to waste. That's Charles for you, saving the environment one musical vegetable at a time. The man waited 73 years to become king. And this is what he's doing with his power. His mother must be looking down thinking, I held onto the throne as long as I could. Other performers included the London Gay Men's Chorus and the Songs for Ukraine Chorus, which makes sense. But the Vegetable Orchestra? That's the kind of group that gets invited when you're the king and nobody can tell you no. Your Majesty, should we invite the Royal Philharmonic? No, get me the people who play broccoli. Meanwhile, have you seen what's happening in Birmingham, England this week? The garbage collectors are on strike and there's 17,000 tons of trash piling up on the streets. 17,000 tons! That's approximately the weight of my last relationship's emotional baggage. Welcome to Birmingham, England, where the city's new tourism slogan is, Mind the Rats. They've gone from Britain's second city to Britain's stinkiest city faster than you can say, where's my respirator? This standoff between garbage workers and city officials has gotten so bad that Birmingham had to declare a major incident. You know you've got problems when your garbage situation qualifies as a disaster on par with floods and terror attacks. Their emergency response plan? Have you tried holding your nose? One resident said, and I quote, there are so many rats that the cats don't chase them. When your cats are looking at rats saying, nah, I'm good, you know the situation has gotten out of hand. These rats aren't even scared anymore. They're organizing, forming committees, discussing rent control. Some desperate residents are loading 20 bags of trash in their cars to drive to the dump themselves. Can you imagine that smell? That car is basically a moving biohazard. You'd have to burn the vehicle afterward, which would probably smell better than the garbage. The workers are striking because some could lose up to 8,000 pounds a year with the new restructuring plan. That's about $10,400. The city disputes this, saying only 17 people would lose just over 6,000 pounds. Oh, only 6,000 pounds. That makes it fine then. Sorry about your rent payment, but the good news is you're only one of 17 people who can't afford it anymore. The garbage crisis has gotten so desperate that one Birmingham lawmaker said a constituent had written to say they'd been bitten by a rat. Bitten by a rat? In England. That's supposed to happen in New York, not the UK. Those British rats are getting uppity for getting their place in the social hierarchy. Portions of today's show were made with the help of high tariffs, AI, carrots, and garbage-eating rats.